I just wanted to take a minute to make it clear I'm not trying to glorify my past or make it seem as if I'm bragging about the things I've done in here. To give you a real idea about life in here, I have to tell you about everything I went through. Some of this might be entertaining, but it's what I've lived through, and ultimately, it's what made me the person I am today. I've learned a lot from my past and have done a lot of work on myself to be a better person. I was becoming a person I didn't like and becoming a person my mother and grandparents were not proud of. That, coupled with a small chain of events, gave me the strength to make a couple hard decisions that allowed me to turn my life around and be the man I am today. With that said, I'd like to continue sharing my story. There was a particular situation where I would say the first time I was actually brought in on the political level as far as letting me know exactly what's going to happen and what we plan on doing. Somebody was released from AdSeg, and it was a white boy named Buck from Orange County. While he was in the ASU, he was three-weighing mail. He was three-weighing mail for the white boy that had the keys to the entire prison for us, Rob Hall. So
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
He's writing letters on behalf of Rob and coding them and sending them to his wife, and she's turning around and sending them to the SHU in her handwriting. And these letters are going to a brand member named James Mickey from the San Fernando Valley, who at the time was who had that prison for us. So Mickey had sent word back telling us to hold off on stabbing these USAS skinheads. Well, Buck got that letter, and out of his hate for these skinheads, he hates them. He changed the message, and he wrote Rob Hall a kite saying that he got word from Mickey saying to blast all these fools when they hit the yard. So Rob caught him in this lie. He found out because we got mail from there. So this dude Buck gets released from the hole, and Kenwood, who's got the yard for us at the time, comes and tells me, he says, "Look, Buck's got to get stabbed. This is what he did. Changed his message. So we're gonna wait until we got enough dope and other little things that we want to send to the back." But he asked me to make a knife and get everything ready. So I make the knife, a big knife, and the youngster that's gonna stab him, he's new. This is gonna be his first stabbing, and he's a youngster. They call him Crowbar from SAC. They call him Crowbar because of his crime. He killed somebody with a crowbar. So anyway, well, after a visiting up there, a bunch of heroin hits the yard, and this is way up in High Desert State Prison. So Susanville, it's out in the middle of nowhere. So a lot of people aren't getting visits. So sometimes they're waiting a long time for these big drops to hit for dope. Well, finally one does, and they send me a roll call and some other little knickknacks that are getting put in this plug. I get the plug ready with the roll call and the heroin, and I've got everything in my cell, the knife, everything that's going to go to this dude, and the nighttime day room's out there. The yard goes down, the alarm goes off, and I can see that it's in our building in another section, and I knew right away. I could just tell something was wrong. Well, that dude Buck found out he was going to get stabbed because one of his homeboys tipped him off. So he made a knife.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
He made a knife out of a coaxial cable TV splitter, and got Kenwood in the day room, our shot caller at the time, cut his throat. So they recall the day room and send everybody back to their cells. And I'm holding on also this stuff, and we're on like a modified program. So at the time, I don't know what to do with this stuff, so I get rid of it. I end up getting rid of the drugs. I hiding what I could, and ended up doing some. And well, the next
You have 60 seconds remaining.
the next day I come out, they let me out. I go collect all this dude's stuff, Kenwood's stuff, and make sure he gets all his property. And I talked to the Southsiders. They were in the section where it happened, and they told me the story that the dude Selly knew it happened, like that it was planned to happen. I got a little drug problem, so I ended up using a bunch of the drugs that were in that plug that were supposed to go to the hole. And the next day when I come out, we have a little meeting on the yard and devise a plan on what we're gonna do. Well, the white boy that's in charge of us now, Richie Newman from San Jose, he's saying he wants to wait. He wants to wait till word comes back from Kenwood on what we should do. And me and my celly are saying no, like we're gonna handle this. Me and my celly, we're gonna stab this whole celly, because he knew there's no way. I had already talked to one of the Southerners. They said that he knew this was gonna happen because he said something, and I already caught this guy in a lie. So it takes about a week for us to get regular program. And the first chance we had, we got 3 knives planted on the yard. It's supposed to be me, my celly, and Kenwood celly. We're all gonna go out here and blast this dude Tinywood from Sac. And when we come out, Tiny's playing handball, and our 2 knives are buried by our area, and Bubba, Kenwood celly, Bubba's knife is buried on a workout bar, or underneath a workout bar, but there's a huge puddle around it. It's like 20 feet wide and 4 or 5 inches deep, so none of us could walk out there into that water without drawing suspicion. The cops would be like, what are they doing out there? So Bubba had to stay, and it's just me and my celly. Well, we get our knives, and like I am so nervous because this is the first real thing I've ever done in prison. Up until now, I've been doing fist fights and little 2-on-1s and really nothing. So I got this knife in my pocket, and all this thoughts are running through my head, like man, I'm about to pick up 8 years, and like, do I really want to do this? And everybody's watching me. The whole yard is watching me. There's really no way out at this point. Like, even if I didn't want to do it, there's nothing I could really do because there's no way out. So me and my celly get to the handball court, and we wait, and he keeps asking me, he's looking at me like, you want to get, let's get him, and I'm to keep telling him, hold on. They finish their little handball game, and Tiny walks up to us and to where the toilets are, and there's a big tabletop area, like with stainless steel. Well, his jacket's up there, and it's got a trash bag around it for like a rain poncho. And he tries to slide into it, like by putting his hands up and just like getting into it. And so he's kind of bent over and trying to get into his jacket without unzipping it and buttoning it because of that poncho's on it. Me and my celly just take off. He's on one side of him, I'm on the other. We pull out our knives and just start stabbing this fool. Well, it's so chaotic, and I'm so excited, like overexcited. I'm so amped up. I don't stop until I've hit this dude 10 or 11 times maybe. And the cops are screaming and yelling to get down, and finally he throws a punch at my celly, and he starts to run from us. Well, he runs towards the cop, so I took my knife, and I've got it cocked back like I'm going to throw it at him, but I start to think, well, I might hit one of these COs, so I just turn and I throw my knife as far as I could the other way, and my celly does the same thing. He drops it there in the dirt and starts saying stuff to this dude, and we get down, and it's March 1st. It's March 1st, so, and we're at 4,200 feet in the air, so high desert is real high. It's up in the mountains. So it's freezing. We're laying in this wet sand, freezing to death. The cops make a crime scene and leave us there for like 2 hours. And anyway, we end up going to the hole, and when we get to the hole, we had prepared for this. We had prepared to go there, so we had the roll call. We had brought syringes for the whites back there, tobacco, razor blades, um, and I replaced that were in that plug.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So when I get back there and I deliver these two big plugs to Rob Hall, immediately we're welcomed like with open arms. They're super happy they got these drugs, and they hear the story about how we avenged our shot caller, and so our status just went through the roof. Immediately, I'm granted what they call I'm a section rep in the ASU. So everything, dude that has the keys for us, he's on the other side of the ASU. It's like a big hallway in the middle with 4 wings on each side, and he's in D wing and I'm in F wing. So there's people that can fish from one side to the other. So he writes all his mail that he writes, all his kites that are supposed to go to the rest of the woodpile. He writes it all out on one page and sends it to me with a code. It's a tic-tac-toe code. So now all of a sudden, I know everybody's business. I see what he's writing because I got to code all of his kites and individually wrap them up and send them where they're going. So all of a sudden, I'm reading mail that's discussing things between the brand and the Nazi lowriders and the trouble that they're in at that prison. There's 3 NLR members there, and they're all in trouble. So I'm getting to see all this information I've never been privy to. Well, I'm there
Why
for
were they
a
in
while.
trouble?
What's that?
Why were they in trouble?
Okay, the NLR had got themselves in trouble there because they were on Sea Yard, and like a typical Nazi lowrider, like they're typical Nazi lowriders, they're bullies. Like that's just how they are in basic nature. They're all bullies. They take advantage of people, and well, there's 3 of them on the yard now. So when they're all together, it's like they're taking advantage of everybody. They're deciding. They're making a lot of decisions and speaking on things that really has nothing to do with them. One of those Nazi lowriders was actually, in one of the kites that I read, was saying that, Ronnie Irwin, a brand member, he's a dropout now, but at the time, his name was in one of those kites from Rob Hall going to somebody saying that this dude Les that was claiming to be a Nazi lowrider, he was one of the 3, was actually told to keep NLR out of his mouth, and that he wasn't an NLR per the brand, right? So, but he's on this yard claiming to be a NLR, and the other 2 Nazi lowriders are accepting him as one. So they're just kind of running their own program over there. They're not taking orders from the back. They're running the yard the way they want to run it. That was how they all got in trouble. And while I was there, let's see, it was that dude Les and Muggsy from Modesto and Dave Watson from Fresno. Well, Muggsy got stabbed in the hole. He ended up coming to ASU. He got stabbed by some dude named Brentwood, and they sliced him up in the cell with a razor blade and beat him until he got on the door screaming for the COs to help him. The other one, Dave Watson, was supposed to get stabbed, and he ended up rolling it up out of his cell, going single cell. Oh, no. He took off on his cellie with his hands. He got in a fist fight, and he tried to say that his cellie disrespected him. But as a whole, everyone agreed that he did that move just to get single cell status so he wouldn't get what he had coming because he knew he was going to get stabbed. So he took off on his cellie.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
His cellie wasn't political or involved in anything. He was just a dude who was there, and he was an easy target, an easy way for him to get single celled. So when he left ASU and went to a Corcoran shoe, all his whole situation was on blast, and he ended up just going into protective custody right then. But so that was how those NLR dudes got in trouble. In the end, every one of them got stabbed. The dude Lester ended up getting into it with Micah Holland's little brother. Micah Holland was also an AB who is a dropout now, but his little brother went into the cell with Les and ended up stabbing him in High Desert over that whole situation. So after all that is done and out the way, I've been back there in the hole for almost 3 months waiting to go to Corcoran Shoe, and my neighbors on the side of me is two Southerners, two Sureños. It's Bam Bam from Tiny Boys and somebody they call 50 from San Diego. Well, 50 is on the mesa. He's part of the table back there for the Southriders. He's running stuff for them. Well, he gets all the mail from Corcoran Shoe. It comes on a bus, somebody brings it, and his celly is named in the kites. They want this dude hit. The MA is actually ordering a hit on his celly. So now that he's got that information, he moves out of that cell because he doesn't want to do it, but he hasn't brought this out to anybody yet. He moves another Southerner in there named Goofy from San Jose, and about a week later, he sends him a kite saying, "You need to blast your celly. It's coming from this MA member," and so he does. Well, they're my neighbors, so I hear everything. Goofy stabs this dude, Tiny Boy, or Bam Bam from Tiny Boys. He stabs him in the face while he's fishing under the door with somebody, fishing with me. And he goes to stab him again, and the knife bends. So these dudes fight. Well, he's no match for Bam Bam. Bam Bam whoops him. They fish me the knife with a kite, asking me if I can get rid of it. So I put the knife up. The next day, they both get at me in the vent, and they say, "Hey, we know you got razors over there. Can we get one?" Goofy's telling me, he's like, "Look, I was supposed to carry out this hit and get caught by the police." He's like, "I didn't get the job done. I want to clean it up." And my celly, he obviously wants to clean his situation up. So they both tell me that when the cops toss out trays,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
that they want to pull this dude's arm into the tray slot and slice it up. So I tell them, "All right, you guys are both in agreement with this. I'm gonna slide you this weapon, but please just keep my name out of this whole mess." I slide it. As soon as I fish over there and I tell them go ahead and pull one time on the line, I felt it. I knew I was in trouble. The next morning, as soon as the cops leave the section from passing out breakfast, all I hear is smack, a loud smack, and a tray hit the ground, and I knew it. I just knew right then, I'm done. Bam Bam knocked his celly out and sliced him up with that razor I gave him. And then Goofy tells the Mesa that I slid him that razor blade. Totally threw me under the bus afterwards, so I was in trouble after that. So instead of going with this plan that they told me they were going to do, all they did is he got on his celly, and so now I'm like, oh, dude. Well, anyway, Bam Bam gets at me in the vent again, and he tells me what he did. He tells me he knocks this fool out, and he's like, "What should I do? He's not waking up. He's not waking up." And I'm worried. I'm like, all I keep thinking is like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm like, just sit the dude up, like pick him up and set him up on his bed so it looks like he's just sitting there. Well, his celly, I think he just continued to fake like he was knocked out or something. I don't know. I don't know. 10, 15 minutes go by. They come pick up trays. They see him. They hit the button. Bam Bam, he cuffs up to the tray slot, and since his celly's unresponsive, he can't cuff up. We're in the ASU, so they're not supposed to open that door until both inmates are cuffed up, and this dude's laying here unconscious, so they got to bring in the goon squad. So they got all these cops with all their shields and and all these crazy weapons like spray and a battering ram. So that way they can open this door to put cuffs on this dude. They take him out, and when they pull him out on the stretcher, they put him on a stretcher, and they got him in the hallway where everyone can see him. He's all bloody, and he's got coffee cake and oatmeal all over his face from his tray. And anyway, they put him on the other side of the ASU, and word comes back to our side saying that Goofy told the Mesa that I gave him that razor blade that he got sliced up with. So at the time it was a Nazi lowrider had the building for us. Oh no, excuse me. Rob Hall from IE, he had the keys to that place. He had the keys to the whole prison for the whites. And the Southsider's name was 50, Sequintas from San Diego. Well, 50 is making this big deal about it. He's pumping this up so bad, saying that I need to be dealt with because, I got involved in their business. He wants me stabbed. Well, so Rob's got my back on this as much as possible, and he's going back and forth with 50 to try to keep me from getting stabbed. And anyway, he catches a bus, and he goes to Corker Shoe. So he leaves the keys to Dave Watson, a Nazi lowrider from Fresno. Watson came from the same yard as me. He came from D-Lower, and he acts like real cool with me, like we're friends, and he gives me all this respect for stepping up and doing what I did when there was all these lifers on the yard. Well, he goes back and forth with 50, and finally he writes me a kite saying, he's like, look,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
He says, look, I've been doing everything I can for you. The Southerners are threatening to separate program, which means that, back then we did a thing. We had a roll call in the morning. One of the Southsiders will go door to door to every Southsider, Sereno, and white man and tell them good morning. And at night we do that. We go. One of the whites does the shutdown. Well, him separating program means they're not gonna say buenos dias to us in the morning, and we're not gonna say good night to them at the end. So it's unacceptable. Like, if we have an issue to get there, it has to be dealt with. So if it comes to that point, so basically Dave tells me that I'm gonna have to get stabbed. So I'm going back and forth with him on paper, telling him like, I stand by what I did, and if anybody has a problem with it, they're welcome to come in here and discipline me. Well, if I had been smarter, I was still young, I would have just denied everything. Like, had I just denied any involvement in this, telling him I never slid that razor blade over there and played dumb, I probably could have got at it with unscathed. But, I was young, and I wasn't thinking, so I admitted to what I did and said that I stood by what I did. So I knew I was going to get stabbed, so I wrote a kite addressed to every white man in the ASU, one for the side of the building I was on and one for the other side of the building I was on. I explained the entire situation.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I explained the entire situation as it happened and told everybody that I stood by what I did, and that if anybody felt like I did something wrong and felt that I should be disciplined, that they were welcome to move into my cell and handle business themselves. So, I'm really stressed out. There's a lot of people back there that want to do this. They want to use this as an opportunity to look good and shine. So I'm working out real tough. I'm doing so many burpees. I'm doing an additional 400 burpees every day after our regular routine, because we have a mandatory 1-hour routine every day back there with the Southsiders. So I'm doing all this extra to get my wind up. So whoever comes in my cell, I'm going to be able to fight them to the best of my ability. I'm not going to run out of air and just get mutilated in there. So Dave writes me, and he tells me, it wouldn't be fair of me to ask anybody else to move into your cell to do this, so your cellie's going to have to do it. So after me and my cellie read this kite, we discuss it. He said, I'm not doing that. This is like my brother. Like, this dude, this my cellie, his name's John Watson. He's been my cellie at Jamestown. He was my cellie that went with me when I beat up my homeboy Stretch on the hard yard and got shot with the block gun. He was cellies with me at High Desert. When I got that dude Spanky, he didn't go with me, but he was my cellie at the time. And then he's my cellie when we stabbed that dude Tiny. So me and him have been through a lot for a long time. We're really close. He tells me I'm not gonna do it. He's like, I'm gonna refuse. I tell him, I go, look. Instead of doing that, look, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Like, I'm not trying to bring any of this on you. It would be better if you just agreed to do it, and basically we put on a show. Like, you barely stabbed me just a little bit, and we fake fighting here, so it sounds like it, and everything will go on as normal. Like, the Southerners are gonna feel like I got dealt with. This dude Dave is gonna feel like it got dealt with, and me and him will know. Hey, basically, we just put it on a show. So that's what we do. We get another kite from Dave that says, okay, this is how it's gonna go down. 50's gonna call you for John to answer the door, face down. There's gonna be a razor. You're gonna be sliced across the chest 3 times. That's your discipline. So 50 calls down. He sends down the kite. So he gives me a knife. He's like, I don't want to do this. Like, he's like, I don't want to hurt you. So I tell him, give me the knife. I took the knife and I put it so the tip is just barely sticking out of my hands, and I stabbed myself 3 times in the arm. And then I threw the knife at the door, so everyone in the ASU can hear this. Like, you can hear any sound of a fist hitting skin or something dropping. It's so quiet back there. So me and him are whispering back and forth to each other, and then they hear the pop, 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 the 3 stab sounds on my arm, and then they hear the knife hit the door and fall on the ground. And then me and him, we start sparring. We just start doing body shots, just going at it. Like, we're hitting each other kind of hard, but I'm bleeding out of my arm now, even though this knife only went in a little bit. Every time my cellie hits me in the arm, a little bit of blood, it splatters everywhere. When we were done, we sparred for about 30, 40 seconds and then stopped. Fished the knife back down to where it was supposed to go, and we started cleaning up. Well, like, my wounds are nothing. They don't look bad at all to me, but I tell you, he's really concerned. He's like, are you all right, man? And we patched me up real fast. It's so little. Like, I just need a little piece of gauze and some tape. Well, while we're cleaning up, you can see blood spatter everywhere in the cell. Just from that little bit of blood, like, all the way up the walls, like 8 feet high. There was blood splatter marks all over. Well, Dave sends me a kite. The top half is addressed to us both, talking about, it is what it is. Everything's good now. And then there's little dot marks, like, to cut here. And he addresses me a kite to take with me to the shoe. And it's addressed to the white man who has the keys where I'm going. It says that there was a situation I was dealt with. I don't owe a cleanup, and there's nothing else should be coming up about this. It's a dead issue. It's all dealt with. So it's time for me to go to the shoe now. So I got this kite. I wrap it up in plastic, and then it's got to be hooped. They call it hooping it. That's when you wrap it up in plastic, put it in a rubber glove, and stick it up your rear end. So I got this kite hooped, and I got to go to corporate shoe now, and I got these little scabs on my arm from the stabbing.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
So I just finished up this situation at High Desert. Now, I've been stabbed for the first time, and it was kind of kept quiet. Not everybody back there knew. I go to corporate shoe. I show up. Listen, it's so late at night. It's so late at night. When I get there, they finally find me a house. It's like 11 o'clock at night. So I get up in the morning. I write an intro. I shoot the night to the white boy that's got the keys. His name's Tree from Redlands. I explain my little situation. I give him the kite from Dave, and he's good with it. He's like, all right, it's whatever. It's water under the bridge. So in my section, there's only one other white boy back there, and his name's Joker from USAS. Um, so at that time, the USAS, they're still kind of in their own little situation. Well, he's single cell. They have him on program, and Tree gets at me, and he says, "You're gonna be the section rep now. I want you to write a kite to Joker and let him know that you're gonna be the section rep now, and you're gonna be doing the shutdown." And right there, how they do it in the morning, the Southerners do the roll call. They go door to door saying Buenos Dias to all the Sureños, and then good morning to all the white men. And vice versa at night, we do the same thing. We do the shutdown. We go door to door and say good night to all the Southsiders.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I go up to my very first yard, and they start explaining the program to me there. They tell me, look, if you got money on your books, you're only expected to put in a sick call slip, so a medical request form. You're only expected to put in once a month, because back then they charge you $5. So if you don't go to store, you need to put in at least one a week. And the reason behind this is every time you get abducted to go to medical, they're going to use that as an opportunity to pass kites. So the Southerners and the whites, we're going to pass mail for each other. We got to take these kites up to medical and do this sneaky style of fishing under a door that's got a rubber bumper to try to stop you, or through the top of a cage with a pin filler. Well, anyway, when he explained this to me, he says, taking the mail in these medical runs is mandatory, and if you lose the mail, you're going to be disciplined. If you lose the Southsiders mail, it's an automatic three stab wounds. You're going to get stabbed 3 times right off the top out of respect for the Southerners. And they're going to do the same thing. They're going to stab their people 3 times right off top if they lose any of our mail. If I lose any of our own mail, any of the whites' mail, it's hot, they can deal with it however they want. So it's stressful. I just got here and thinking about this, like, I have to deliver this mail, but if I get caught, I'm gonna get